Picture this. It's midnight. You've been studying for hours, highlighter in hand, notes everywhere. Fast forward 48 hours and you can barely recall 20% of what you crammed. Meanwhile, in Japan, students memorize over 2,400 complex kanji characters and retain them for life. What do they know that we don't? I spent 3 months researching their techniques, interviewing Japanese education experts, and experimenting with their methods. The results? I've cut my study time in half while doubling my retention. Today, I'm sharing these game-changing techniques with you. Your brain isn't broken. It's just following the forgetting curve, a neurological pattern discovered over a century ago. Within 24 hours of learning something new, your brain discards up to 80% of it. By day 7, you're lucky to remember 10%. But here's the fascinating part. Japanese learning methods directly counteract this curve with precision techniques refined over generations. Let me show you exactly how they do it. First, they use something called active extraction, a powerful technique that works with your brain's natural memory systems. While Western students focus on passive input, reading, highlighting, watching videos, Japanese students prioritize output. Think about it. When you're faced with a blank page and force yourself to write down everything you remember about a topic, your brain creates stronger neural pathways than if you simply reread that information 10 times. Try this tonight. After studying a topic, close your book, turn over your notes, and explain everything you just learned out loud as if teaching someone else. Those moments when you struggle and have to think hard? That's not failure. That's your brain building memory bridges that will last. The second technique is interval mastery. Japanese students don't wait until they've forgotten something to review it. They review precisely when they're about to forget. This timing is crucial. Study something today, review it tomorrow, then in 3 days, then a week later, and finally a month later. This pattern mirrors how memories naturally consolidate in your brain. I created a simple system for this. When I learn something new, I add review reminders to my calendar following the 1-3-7-21 pattern. 1 day later, 3 days later, 7 days later, and finally 21 days later. Each review takes just 2 minutes, but the impact is extraordinary. My retention jumped from 20% to nearly 85% with this method alone. The third technique transforms how you approach learning entirely. It's called Kaizen learning, the art of tiny, consistent improvements. Instead of exhausting 4-hour study sessions, Japanese students practice small, focused sessions daily. Even just 15 minutes of highly concentrated study beats 2 hours of distracted highlighting. Here's how to implement this. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Remove all distractions. Phone in another room, notifications off. Then dive deep into one specific concept. Don't try to cover everything. Master just one piece. Tomorrow, add another piece. In a month, you'll have mastered 30 concepts thoroughly instead of skimming 100 superficially. The fourth technique might surprise you because it's not about what you study but how you study. Japanese students practice something called sakuma, which means creating the perfect environment for deep focus. Your brain forms stronger memories when it associates learning with specific environmental triggers. I transform my study habits with this technique by creating a simple ritual. I have a specific desk where I only study, I light the same scented candle, wear noise-canceling headphones, and set a physical timer. These consistent cues signal to my brain that it's time for deep focus. After just 2 weeks, I noticed I could concentrate deeper and recall information more easily. What's fascinating about this approach is the science of state-dependent learning. Research shows that your brain encodes memories alongside environmental cues present during learning. This is why walking back into your childhood home can trigger forgotten memories. Your brain associates physical spaces with specific information. By creating a consistent study environment, you're essentially building a memory palace without even trying. Finally, Japanese students use a technique I call connection mapping. Western education often teaches subjects in isolation, but the Japanese approach intentionally connects new information to existing knowledge. Your brain remembers information better when it's linked to something you already know. Here's how. Before studying a new concept, take 30 seconds to write down what you already know about related topics. When learning about photosynthesis, you might jot down what you know about plants, sunlight, or chemical reactions. These connections create multiple pathways to retrieve the information later. The power of this method comes from how our brains naturally organize information. Think of your memory as a vast network rather than a filing cabinet. Every new piece of information becomes stronger when it connects to multiple existing nodes in that network. Japanese students instinctively build these connections, creating a web of knowledge where Western students often create isolated islands of facts. Let me share what happened when I applied these 5 techniques to my own studies. Before, I spent about 15 hours weekly preparing for exams and retained maybe 30% of that information long-term. Now, I study just 7 hours weekly with 85% retention. That's not just better learning, it's learning freedom. But there's something even more valuable I gained beyond better grades and more free time. These techniques completely transformed my relationship with learning itself. Where studying once felt like a chore, something to endure, it now feels like a skill I'm constantly refining. Learning has become enjoyable. And isn't that what education should be about? Not just accumulating information, but falling in love with the process of discovery itself. What's truly surprising is how simple these techniques are to implement. You don't need expensive tools or apps. You don't need to completely overhaul your study routine overnight. Start with just one technique this week. Notice the difference. Add another next week. Small steps lead to remarkable transformations. The choice is yours. You can continue highlighting textbooks and forgetting most of what you study, or you can implement these Japanese learning methods starting today. The students who succeed aren't necessarily the smartest. They're the ones with the best systems. If you found this information valuable, please hit that like button and share it with someone who's struggling with their studies. And don't forget to subscribe for more evidence-based learning strategies that will transform how you learn. Turn on notifications so you never miss my next video. Try just one of these techniques this week and comment below with your results. Remember, your brain is incredibly powerful. You just need to work with it, not against it. Study less, remember more. That's the Japanese way.